in tonight's really is mindset. The way you have to think. This is really crucial because what separates ultimately people who succeed, not just in marketing, but in anything that they do, is mindset. And it's not something people are born with. You acquire it. I'm a firm believer in that. You know, everybody has a brain. Everybody can basically make it work, the best way that, that you can. And it applies in marketing just like it does in all other facets of life. One thing is for sure that, the world of marketing is always changing. Last night's call was a classic example of new things, new adventures, new products that you can utilize to make your businesses better. The one thing, though, that stays the same is the mindset of successful marketers and entrepreneurs. There are very, very clear traits between all these types of people. So really what I want to look at tonight is for us to look at these common denominators that all successful marketers and entrepreneurs share. And we need to, no matter what, adopt these principles and actions. Firstly, they aren't afraid to try new, strange, weird, crazy, off-the-wall type things. Sometimes you just have to think outside the box. We've all heard that term. So if you ultimately, guys, if you do what everybody else does, you will arrive at the same place as everybody else. Ideas, the new, the crazy, the shocking, the unorthodox, the off the wall, the anything. They don't always present themselves to you. They just happen. It's not as if we come off this call tonight and plan out a great idea or methodology. They just pop into our heads. And you know what? The strange thing is, if we all actually think about it, it happens multiple times every single day of the week to absolutely every single one of us. Most of them, maybe all of them, we dismiss. Maybe one we implement and give it a go. All I say to you is just be open to them. How many times in history have people come up with ideas that 99.9% of other people will think are total crap? Yet years later, these people are worth millions upon millions, if not billions of dollars. You see, every great idea ultimately sort of comes in 3 stages, no matter what. The first stage is where 99.9% of people think it's absolute rubbish. The second stage is where, hang on a second, this is actually working and it's going really, really well. And the third stage is it serves completely as self-evident. Now, in the world of big business or business in general, all the money's in the first stage. For example, let's go back to the 50s and someone comes along to you and says, hey, I'm thinking of knocking out a burger chain called McDonald's, and we're going to sort of just have like a very, very straight process of how we're going to sell hamburgers, and we're going to plan to franchise it out. 99.9% of people would think you're crazy. 99.9% of investors wouldn't touch you. And we see this on plenty of ideas. I was actually reading probably about a year ago about Airbnb, because there was They were sort of been going for about, what, eight years, something like that. And the guy who started it was actually, he didn't name names or anything like that. He just posted out saying, look, this is where we are now. But, you know, it wasn't that long ago, 5 or 6 years ago, that I was running out of cash. And I was just pitching investors for $100,000 for 10% of Airbnb. And he just posted out, he'd rubbed out basically names and stuff like that of people's investors, potential investors' answers to him. Oh, we're just not interested in the travel space. Just can't see this working. Not for us. You know, the usual stuff. The irony is, whoever actually gave this guy $100,000 for 10% of his company is now worth $2 billion. Not million, billion. So the point I'm making is that you have to be open, and sometimes you have to gamble, and you have to try things out. The bottom line is if you simply don't, you're never going to know. You're never going to know. Which leads me ultimately to stating you have to create a testing mindset. You have to. You know, what we do in here, and what I try to teach, is obviously what is available, how to use it, and the process of marketing, and then, you know, engaging and then converting. Now, if you want to know how to waste a whole lot of money and time, it's real simple. Do marketing without testing the results of your marketing. That's it. It's real simple. If you just don't test, you're just not going to find out. Yes, you will lose some money. Okay? If your attitude is that I'm just not going to bother testing because, you know, I know it's, oh, sorry, I know I'll burn some money, then you know what? You're in the wrong business. You're in the wrong business. You know, I got a message today from a student of mine, right? Overly elated, had been sort of like, it's stuck with it, followed the process, finally decided basically, you know what, I said to him, listen, mate, the problem is that you're not testing and you're not willing to put your money on the line. And you know what? And he messaged me today, and this was like 2 weeks ago. He said, I've had my biggest day. I've done $17,000. I've made $4.5 grand, right? Because he had to basically take the gamble. But he didn't just do it on a whim. He followed the process and he tested and he got it right. And now, through sticking with it, and I was over the moon for him, you know? So, but ultimately I can think of nothing more foolish and wasteful than marketing without testing. See, when you come up with your marketing idea, just put it into motion, activate it, and then just measure the results. You know, 9 out of 10 could be complete failures, but at least you know. But that one out of the 10 that becomes really successful, fantastic. That goes well. That will wipe out any losses on the other 9 in a matter of days. But the problem is most people out there just have excuses. Excuses, excuses, excuses. And these are what I hear from people. Oh, it takes too long to do that. I don't have the resources to do it. I'm not sure what to test. It's really difficult on the platform I'm using, you know, or the website or whatever it may be. Or my offers on my products change too quickly. You don't need a data scientist with advanced degrees. All you need to do is look at your numbers, whether that's stuff on Google Ads or analytics or whatever platform it may be. Obviously, as far as we're concerned with the data that we get actually through Google Ads, and also data we pick up of Google Analytics. Now, we don't need to be nerds. We don't need to be sitting around all day analyzing data, right? Make subtle changes, implement new things, or make subtle changes and test it out. And we're going to be talking about this a bit more detail in the second part of this presentation. But keep your eye on the ball You can't, for example, you enter the world of marketing, you know, you can't create miracles on $50 a day. It's just not going to happen. It won't happen. You have to be prepared to spend money, but when you're spending money, spend it wisely, knowing what you're testing and looking at the data. You can't get proper data on 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, $80 a day. Can't do it. Over a long period of time you will, but it's not going to serve you in a conversion value during that period of time. So anyway, thirdly, successful people use the skills they have and borrow the skills they don't. You see, to be a successful marketer, you can't successfully do everything that marketing entails. I am a classic example of that. When I first started basically doing marketing properly, in early 2000s, I mean, I was just doing messing about in the late 90s, but the early 2000s, I'll be honest with you, for far too long, I just thought I could just do it all myself. The problem was, even those days, is putting up a web page was hard work. We don't have the luxury of what we have today, where we can knock out a website in literally 10 minutes. The frustration, all that. And even then, it was difficult to even find people to basically help you with it. And if they did, they charged a fortune for what we would today deem as something ridiculously simple. And, you have to borrow the brains and skills and strategies from other people. There's only so much you can do. There's only so much hours in the day. Stick to what the process is and what you're actually good at. You have to understand and know what your own weaknesses are, so you can hire or outsource to supplement your own best marketing strengths. Focus on what you're good at. Focus on what you need to be looking at. Other things are minuscule in comparison. You want to get some new creatives done, just send it out to somebody on Fiverr. You want to put a new website up, get someone to do it. I used to go pull my hair out, out of frustration, because I just realized I was a complete idiot for the best part of 2 years, wasting my time trying to figure this nonsense out for myself when I could have just got someone to do it. The minute that mindset for me changed, everything changed for me. Everything. Everything changed. Just pay the money and get it done. Because one, it will get done quickly, it will get done better than you can do it, and then you can put it into action the way you want to put it into action. Okay? 4, adopt early. And what I mean by this is that the best marketers are always adopting things early. When you see something promising in the marketing world, jump on it. You can get out and bail out when you want to, but at least try it out. Think about what I showed you in the previous training, and what was coming out new with Google last night. That's what I'm talking about. Things like that. New things that come out, get on it straight away. Don't even think about it, right? Just get on it, implement it, get ahead of the other people in the marketplace. Like I was trying to explain to you last night, when new things come out of Google marketing, just like what I was talking about last night and what's going to happen, 99% of people out there aren't still on it 6 months from the time it comes out. So you're getting ahead. They're seeing ads come out thinking, well, how the hell, what's happening here? It takes them 6 months to figure it out. Just get on with it. Put it in there, test it out, get in work, get it going. Okay? It's so important, this, because, I was back in the UK, my God, I mean, I used to do this stuff. I had 2 brick and mortar businesses. I was working day and night, and then I was doing my marketing literally from 10 o'clock at night till 4 o'clock in the morning. God's honest truth. I used to do it every day a week, 6 days, 7 days a week sometimes. I was back up again at 7, 8 o'clock. But one, it was the only time of day I could get any peace and quiet. And two, I had to get it done. And a lot of the stuff that I ever did, I was literally self-taught. There was nobody teaching basically, marketing, Google advertising in general. And the ones that were just talking complete crap anyway. So I invested a lot of hours, a lot of my own money, just trying to figure things out, piece by piece. And it wasn't easy. But, there's this, you can look at it perspective, you can buy your way into it or you can earn your way into it. I ultimately, that process, I earned my way in. Today, it's easy. You can just buy your way in, figure it out for yourself or go and pay someone to basically show you or do what you need doing. Trust me, that's the better route every single time. 5, and this is important. They quit fast. You might think that's strange, but you know what? There's no shame whatsoever in quitting. And what I mean by quitting, not quitting, it could be, I'm talking about advertising and things like that, marketing strategies. The minute something stops working, simply stop doing it. Make your decision to quit based on the data that's in front of you, rather than simple disgust or impatience or frustration. It's always like everything in life, never make crazy decisions when you're emotional. Make the decisions based on logic. If you feel that way, step away. Come back when you feel more logical and you're looking at the data. And then base your decisions on that. And we must change as marketers and entrepreneurs with the changes in marketing. Things are moving, fast. This is the internet. If we look at certain things that were going on, let's say literally 2-3 years ago, some of those things actually feel archaic to what's happening today. And in 3 years' time, the stuff that we're doing today will look archaic. This is the fast-paced world that we live in right now, and especially in the world of online marketing. So throw the stuff away when it's not working and just quit when you need to, okay? Like everything in life, it's easy to get in, but a lot of the times it's just difficult to get out. Because in your head, especially in marketing, you're thinking, oh, listen, it's going to work. It's got to work. It was a good idea. It's got to work. If the data tells you it's not working, then simply just don't do it. Okay? 6, don't be afraid to steal great ideas. I'm not talking about stealing in nasty criminal type of way. But you probably heard the phrase, good artists copy, great artists steal. But it's a good concept, especially when applied to marketing. Some marketers are great, not because they invented something brand new, but because they stole something that was working elsewhere and they made it 10 times better. There's nothing wrong in doing that. It's this difference between, let's say, copying somebody's website, copying things that people have on it. When smart marketers basically just see things that are happening, test it themselves, and think, hang on, that was actually a good idea. But you know what? I've got another take on it. I'm going to test it. I think I can make this better. There's no harm in that. The steal, like I said, I'm talking about is not, of course, criminal and nefarious. The point is that you should learn and replicate killer marketing ideas. I mean, it's absolutely no secret, for example, that Facebook swiped Snapchat stories feature. Everyone knows it, everyone sees it, but they took it, tried to make it better. Trying to reinvent the wheel most of the time is simply just not a good idea. When you target what you want to do in your business, your ambition, your focus, your goals. You set yourself your own targets, but your targets should always be in your particular marketplace, never to do something just as good as what your competitor or competitors are doing. You want to be doing it better. That's the only acceptable option that should be in your head. It may take you a week, it might take you 3 years. Doesn't matter. That should be your focus. To do something the same as somebody else, in my book, is simply unacceptable. You have to have the focus to want to do it better. You may fail, but you know what? You gave it a hell of a go. That's what you got to tell yourself. Nothing is ultimately beyond anyone's reach. You see, the great thing about online is this. The internet is a level playing field. The great thing about it is that we can all start something, and if we know what we're doing, we know what our ambitions are, we know how to handle the marketing, our mindset is right, you know what? You're going to be tough to beat. Tough to beat. Of course, yes, you're going to have resources, no matter what you do. But think about it this way. Think about it this way. Everybody on this call has a website of some, or websites of something that sells certain product. It's cost you money to set up that website. Cost you money to run advertising. Cost you money to basically be involved in this particular group. But think of it this way. You walk out into the brick and mortar world to buy a business. It could cost you anything from $250,000 to millions of dollars. All of which you've either got to pocket out of your own pocket and more than likely borrow from a bank. And you can be lucky to break even on your money, if you're lucky, within 3 years. Whereas on the internet, you can come on board, create something, because you think about the barrier to entry is just X amount of thousands of dollars. It's not massive at all. It's a drop in the ocean. It just gives you focus, your understanding of marketing, and your mindset. And because it's the internet, it's a level playing field. Anybody can come in and they know what they're doing. You can beat multi-million-dollar companies at their own game. And the question is then, how much do you want to make? Everybody's going to be different. Everybody's ambition is different. Somebody says, well, shit, I just want to get a new car next year. Another person just wants to basically have 2 extra holidays. Next person wants to be a multi-millionaire. Doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, there's a great line in a book called, some of you may have read it, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. If you haven't, I 100% recommend that you do. You see, nothing can ever be achieved with anybody in life unless you know exactly what you want. That has to be the focus. And like I say, it doesn't matter what it is, but there has to be the focus. There has to be an end goal. And once you know what your end goal is, the next question you ask yourself is this: what price am I going to pay to get it? Because there is always a price to pay. Always. Not just in a monetary sense. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes commitment, it takes desire, and the will not to lose. And if you can have those combinations, every single one of you on this call will be successful and achieve what you want to achieve. Okay? 7, be sure to judge marketing efforts based on results and act accordingly. You see, ladies and gentlemen, marketing becomes really simple when you get this concept. The best marketing tactics are the tactics, clearly, that work. The tactics that get results. You guys know me, and I've always been a big perpetrator of the 80-20 rule. In fact, I base nearly everything I do on marketing on this. All right. I may not always get it right, but my end goal is always this type of concept. And the principle, of course, is simple. Most of your results come from a small number of efforts. The results may not be strictly 80-20, but the principle still holds true. Most results come from a few efforts. Think about it. Now, let me give you some examples. You see, 75% of website views on your website come from 14% of the total pages on your site. 75%. I'm not saying that's exact, but actually, if you actually decide to go through your analytics, I won't be far off. 90% of your sales come from 5% of your customers. 60% of your support staff's time is taken by the same 3% of customers. And that I can 100% tell you is true. It's the same nonsense all the time. And like I said, this is the main one I try to stick with. 80% of your sales come from 20% of the products on your site. You see, the key, especially for people who are starting online, the big mistake that so much people make is that when they come in with heavy-handed inventory, if you come in with 20, 30, 40 products, no big deal. But some people just come in heavy-handed with 200 or 300. They start marketing everything, and they just think, great, we'll just go for the numbers game, not worry too much about the data, not worry and test to see, and then they get bestsellers, and they just don't tell anything back. Anything I've ever done on e-commerce has been strictly focused on 20% of the product line. And I focus the marketing efforts on that. The rest are all diluted. Yes, it gets traffic. Yes, I pay money, but it just brings in the extra traffic they may purchase or may purchase something bigger. Then I retarget. But 20% of the products bring in 80% of the revenue every single day of the week. I posted up basically in the other day. I'm not sure if you saw it. I'm going to keep posting regularly now, even stats and a couple of businesses. And we did on one business about 36, 37 grand the other day. I put it up. But every time I do, I look at it, I know it's still 20% of the product line. World-class marketers chase down the top performing tactics and then make the most of them. That's it. That's what basically top marketers do. Sometimes it's only every now and again that an amazing new idea or amazing new concept will arrive. The reality is most people are just taking what's out there and making it better. Making it better. And finally, one that I think is a very key mindset is never just assume. Never assume a potential new marketing tactic will not work. I've lost count of the amount of times that basically I've talked to people, and said, "Oh no, yeah, I've seen that, mate. I've seen that. It's a sack of crap. It's just not going to work. I'm not going to bother." And I'm going to give you an amazing example of that, right? An amazing example of that. Back in 2010, I was speaking at the Glazer Kennedy Super Conference in Dallas. Bill Glazer was really courteous. I met him in London. He rang me up when he got back to the States. He said, "Mate, we've got the Super Conference coming up in 6-7 weeks. You've got to come out. I want you to speak. I don't give a damn if you sell nothing. I just want you to speak." I was like flabbergasted. I wasn't even doing speaking stuff or anything like that. And he just liked what he saw what I was doing. And he said, "Listen, please come out. I don't care if you sell nothing." Because obviously, the people do presentations. But, the Glazer Kennedy group is a very, very hardcore business group. People are paying $2,000 to get in, and there's 2,500 people in the room. And I went out there, and at the time I'd been in the middle of beta testing for basically Google was starting remarketing. No, nobody had heard of remarketing online then. I've been beta testing it for 4 months. And I thought, as a repayment to Bill for his faith in me, I would show his group basically remarketing. Now, admittedly, probably most people who didn't get what the hell I was talking about, but I showed it to them anyway, because it wasn't even out yet. And you know, there was other great marketers presenting and also in the audience that particular day. And I'm not going to name any names, but I can tell you 3 of those said to me afterwards, no way, that's not going to work. It's just going to be a fad. Well, we all know now really what remarketing is, and it's probably the number one tool in the marketer's armory. But I can tell you there are, and if I name the names, you would know every single one of them. One of them is probably already now with something doing $80, $90 million. And remarketing has been probably, along with probably their affiliate program, the number one resource of revenue for that guy's business. Yet that particular day, he looked me in the face and said, Gal, that won't work, mate. That won't last long. So, classic case, never assume a potential new marketing tactic will not work. Never assume that a new product simply will not sell. Suppliers send you, see that, we're bringing this out. Oh, I'm not putting it on there. That will never bloody sell. Never assume. Again, it comes back to, okay, great, no problem. Put it on there. Let's test it out. Important for all of you, never assume that an idea that comes to your head is stupid. In fact, let me give you a little bit of advice. If an idea comes into your head and you think it's good and it's like it, rule number 1, don't tell anyone. Not that you want to keep it a major secret from the marketing world. What you don't want is somebody else's negativity. To say, that sounds like crap, mate. You're wasting money. You know, don't do it. Have belief in yourself. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to lose a few bucks. Okay, big deal. Let's go out tomorrow and make some more. But at least you've tried. Don't let other people bring you down. That was one of the biggest mistakes I made. I mean, I've come to think I talk about it far too much. You know, I had people just rip me off senseless. You know, I was working in the early days of SEO stuff with a big price comparison site in the UK. I should have just kept my mouth shut. All they did was take my ideas and implement them. And within 6 months, they were the biggest price comparison site in the United Kingdom. I learned the hard way. Think of your ideas, keep them to yourself. You know, it might turn out to be a disaster. So what? You tried. But just keep it to yourself. Have that belief in yourself. Next, never assume that customers will not purchase from you. This is an interesting one. And I'm actually going to give you a 100% true example that actually happened today. Happened today. So let me tell you the story of exactly what happened. About 2 weeks ago, one of my salespeople came up to my office and said, I got a guy on the phone. He wants to buy 100 mixed of this and that. The total bill is $125,000. You know, and his question was, should I waste my time doing this quote? It's probably going to be, you know, probably a lot of bullshit. And I said, well, there's probably a very, very good chance it's a lot of crap. But you know what? Never assume it. Just do the quote as normal, be courteous, put the effort in, and send it off. Well, he sent it off. And today I actually had to run to the doctors this morning. I had gout in my knee, whatever. I came back and I hadn't eaten. And when I got back at the office, I decided I'm going to walk down, because there's a couple of restaurants right next to me. I just went down to this Asian place, and I was just sitting at the bar area, just having something to eat quickly, because I was absolutely starving. I mean, putting the pills down my throat, and I had nothing to eat. And I was halfway through it, and then suddenly, out of the corner of my eye, I see 4 of my staff just rushing into the restaurant. And Ray said, "Remember what you told me 2 weeks ago? Never assume." And I said, "Yeah." And he opened an envelope and he showed me basically a cashier's check for $125,000 order. And that happened today. 100% true, happened today. Now, I'm not saying these big type of orders grow on trees, because they don't. I've had them before. I had actually one last year. People ordered some product for about, another big order in one hit was about 85 grand. This one, no doubt, is the biggest. One order, $125,000. But the moral of the story is never assume. You know, if I hadn't been there that day, the chances are this guy probably wouldn't have done the quote. He would have said, it's a waste of my time. But he did it. He followed it up. And today a check for $125,000 turned up in the post. So that's where we are with that. And I wanted to do this tonight because we get in a flow of doing things with marketing. Everything that we do is about how we drive traffic, how we come up with ideas, how we implement new things. However, without what I've gone through tonight, the job is so much harder. Implement what I'm showing you tonight, it becomes a hell of a lot easier. Okay? Now, off that serious note,